Good afternoon. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 28th, of June. It is Friday. We do have a 13-game main slate ahead of us this evening. A little late in the day. Unfortunately, been busy with real work, so I'm just now opening up contests and taking a look at what we have to work with tonight. I do not believe we have much for weather issues on the main slate. I think the White Sox Rockies game is probably the one that needs to be watched. Um, but that's not really a game we generally target. Other than I think the White Sox pitcher on the slate could be interesting if it's clear. Drew Thorpe, big time prospect, coming off of his best start at the major league level. Um, so maybe we'll start at the bottom here since I'm already looking at Drew Thorpe on the slate, but uh, I don't see a lot to love. Slate Cecconi intrigues me because he has shown the ability to showcase upside. He did it against Washington with nearly 28 DK points, and that was a team that didn't strike out all that much, but he still picked up 6 strikeouts, which is the second highest performance on the season. Struck out 8 against Seattle earlier. If he would have picked up the win, he would have approached 30 fantasy points. Takes on an Oakland squad that does strike out plenty. They do have some power, and he can give up some home runs, so that is obviously something to be worried about. But there is 30 fantasy point upside from Sony, so that is why he's somebody that I am going to be utilizing this evening. Frankie Montas, maybe. We really expected him to get destroyed against Boston and even Milwaukee, and he didn't really do that. He went into Coors and threw an absolute gem with 36 fantasy points. Um, he's capable, and the St. Louis squad is so-so. I'd consider him, but right now I would think he's probably not going to make my pool, and I'll just stick with Sassoni as my spend down option. Um, kind of going up. Suarez was the darling early in the season, kind of fallen off a little bit since then. I think people will talk about him. Texas' offense has been so-so. I just don't think I'm going to go there. I will hope that Drew Thorpe is in play for us. Colin Ray probably not going to be in play for me, even though I think the overall Cubs lineup has been somewhat weaker. I just think in general Ray doesn't have enough upside. Obviously, he was strong against Cincinnati 2 starts ago, but I couldn't even pick up a strikeout in his last start. Just not super reliable. So I'm just not going to go there. Tristan McKenzie, one of my favorite pitchers in baseball, but he's just not the same this year. I'm not going to use him against Kansas City. Not that Kansas City is super dangerous top to bottom, but he's just given up so many home runs that I just don't think we have to deal with it. Not really interested in anybody. Landon Knack pitching in San Francisco made his return to the bigs last week and threw a strong performance against LA. Strikeouts weren't really there, and I feel like his strikeout upside is somewhat limited, but he's pitching in such a great ballpark that I am interested in him this evening. Jameson Taillon has had some really strong starts coming off of a 10K performance. Now, the issue is the Brewers are a pesky offense, uh, put a lot of guys on base, etc. I don't know if Taillon has, 34 in his upside, but he did dominate Milwaukee earlier, 21 fantasy points, or 29, sorry, I can't read. Um, So I think he's got to be in play for us this evening. The upside's there, just super volatile. Nick Pivetta, another one. Upside is there, but super volatile due to home run issues. His strikeouts have been down the last handful. That is worrisome, especially against the San Diego squad that surprisingly isn't striking out a whole lot. Obviously, Pivetta gets a big bump because Tatis is on the IL. So the overall lineup is weakened now. So Pivetta just offers us the upside we want. It just comes with a ton of volatility. He absolutely dominated Atlanta, um, 3 weeks ago for 36 DK points. That shows us what kind of upside he has when he strings some strikeouts together. Kikuchi and Stroman, I'm just not going to go there. Stroman against his former team, like I mean, I could see some motivation. He was solid against them, but he's just not a huge strikeout guy. And despite Toronto's struggles offensively this year, they're just not a huge strikeout team at this point. Bailey Ober, plenty of upside, strikeout upside. Absolutely dominated Oakland last time out. Gets an extra day of rest. I wouldn't expect 40 fantasy points out of him here, but he struck out 7 in 5 innings against Seattle earlier this season. He has solid upside in this matchup, so it's somebody that I am going to want to get exposure to. Logan Webb, I kind of want to dig into his history against the Dodgers. We do know that Logan Webb is at his best when he gets to pitch at home, which is where he's at tonight. Um, I mean, the Dodgers lineup is weaker, obviously, without Mookie Betts, and Muncy's still on the IL. But Otani and Freeman have been showing up, especially Otani. So there are some worries, but I don't mind sprinkling in some Logan Webb as of right now. Charlie Morton, guy that seems to just ruin us randomly. This Washington start was just painful. This Washington start was painful, but he dominated Oakland, dominated Tampa Bay. Uh, Kind of on an every other start streak right now, which would mean that lines up with being a strong performance this evening. His overall season numbers, not overly impressive, but I still think he's definitely in play. Uh, I haven't looked at any ownership percentages, but I would assume that he's going to be one of the chalkier pitchers at this point. Ronel Blanco, been so good that I think we have to include him. Coming off of a dominant performance against Baltimore, I mean, he beat them, held them to 1 run. Ks weren't there, walks were kind of up, but still, one of the biggest surprises in all of baseball this season. Blanco is certainly in play, even though the Mets offense has been strong. They've been doing a lot more winning lately. I still am going to play Blanco against the Mets. Um, He's just been dominant on the road at this point. Strikeout rate is much better when pitching on the road. So obviously he's not going to go undefeated on the road. I see he's 5-0 so far in 6 starts on the road. But yeah, I think he has plenty of upside for us this evening. Logan Gilbert was lit up by the Twins the first time he faced them, but he's been so dominant at home. That game against Minnesota came in Minnesota, and I wouldn't be shocked if that run was during Minnesota's big win streak as well, because he came into that game just on another level, just racking up fantasy points, wins, strikeouts. That kind of knocked him off a little bit. Now he's coming in back to back 31 plus fantasy point performances. Um, both 0 runs allowed in those starts. I have to like it. I know I'm going to play some Minnesota bats for sure, but Logan Gilbert's intriguing to me. I know I didn't really talk about any K props today. Uh, Point out a couple that stand out to me. Charlie Morton's K prop at 5.5 with juice strongly on the over. Um, Logan Gilbert and Bailey Ober both have K props in that game of 6.5. Gilbert's juice is on the under. Ober is basically a pick 'em between the two. Logan Webb's K prop at 5.5. Juice is slightly on the under there. Overall, we don't have a ton of high K props on this slate. Nick Pavetta's against San Diego is just 4.5 with juice on the over. Blanco's is 5.5 with juice on the under. Um, so finding those strikeouts tonight should give you a pretty big boost in your lineup if you can pinpoint uh, the overs to hit. Just because we're not expected to have a huge K night, and what that means is we might see some higher scoring from our stacks. A lot more balls in play, a lot more hits, chances at home runs, etc. Um, I mean, we do see a number of games with totals at 9, 9. So we got 9, 9, 9.5, 9, 9.5, a couple 8.5s as well. So could be a sneaky offensive night, with not a lot of K upside. But again, the things we dig into as the day goes on. We try to figure out where we can get different or where we can pick up points on the field based on what we're seeing or finding. So there we have it. There's the first look at pitching for us. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at TFS Army. If you want to get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.